Good morning to those on the line. My name is Melina Corona, and I work for Build It Green. This webinar is on propane eligibility for PG&E's Home Upgrade Program, which is part of Energy Upgrade California. We will be starting in a few minutes, so please get set to take a few notes. Our presenter, Joanne Penchena from PG&E, will be presenting propane eligibility for this program.
Hello, this is Joanne. I'm back on the line. I got cut off.
Hi, Joanne. Thanks for joining us. So I've got the presentation all set up. I can make you an organizer if you'd like, and we've got attendees on the line. Would you like to start, or you want to give everyone one more moment?
Why don't we go ahead and get started? And if you wouldn't mind, my computer and GoToWebinar are not agreeing with each other this morning. If you could go ahead and forward the slides as we go through it.
Sure. I'm all set when you are.
Okay, great. So I wanted to start off by thanking everyone for joining us this morning after a long holiday weekend. Hopefully we won't need the whole hour, but just wanted to make sure that we had enough time if there was clarifying questions. So hopefully all of you are here today to hear the program update for PG&E's Energy Upgrade California Home Upgrade Program, specifically relating to options for electric customers with propane appliances to now receive incentives through the program. So why don't we go ahead to slide 2 for the agenda. So just a quick overview of what we're going to touch on today. Start with some of the key elements that I wanted to emphasize. Go through the combustion appliance safety testing requirements, customer eligibility, the contractor and rater requirements, and then just a few resources that you can access to get a little bit more details. And then, of course, as always, myself and Builder Green will be available to answer any project-specific questions. So with that, we'll go ahead on to slide 3. I believe many of you are muted, but Melina will be checking the questions that are popping up. And so if there's any clarifying questions, I'll answer them as I go through. If not, we'll hold off on questions till the end. So just a few key elements that I think are important to emphasize. So for the conversation today and kind of the purpose of this is really allowing, as I mentioned before, Energy Upgrade California Home Upgrade, formerly the basic, and Advanced Home Upgrade, formerly Advanced Package, rebates for PG&E electric customers with propane appliances. As many of you are well aware, up until this point, customers with propane appliances in the combustion zone were not eligible. This is changing that and allowing for those folks to receive an incentive. This program change is effective for assessments for advanced home upgrade performed after September 1st or home upgrade projects started on or after September 1st. And just for clarification, the rules and eligibility apply only to PG&E's home upgrade and advanced home upgrade. For other areas, please check with the implementers for those programs. With that, we'll go ahead and go to slide 4. So as you'll notice, many of the elements of this, the eligibility for electric customers with propane are very similar. There's just a few nuances that we're asking for you to take note of. So similar to every other job, combustion safety testing must be done prior to the beginning of work and after. And the testing as defined by BPI's technical standards and PG&E's whole house combustion appliance safety test procedure. So nothing's changed there. And as before, all units and common areas must undergo testing. Similar to the existing program, but just wanted to re-emphasize it again, all failures must be addressed either immediately if there's an immediate hazard, prior to the start of work, or included in the project scope of work. Any failures at test out must be resolved prior to submitting the rebate application to Builder Green. With that, we'll go to slide 5. So here's where you'll find more of the significant differences with what we're asking you to do for customers with propane. So while we're asking you to follow the same procedures, as you may or may not be aware, PG&E's gas service representatives, who are usually called, are not available to provide testing services or repairs for propane, since it's not a fuel that we provide. So we are asking that in lieu of calling the gas service representative in those procedures, you replace that with properly licensed participating contractor or properly licensed participating contractors technicians or propane service provider. So basically, since the gas service representative isn't available for the testing and repairs, the contractor or the propane service provider must make all those repairs or do that testing. As is currently the requirement, all customers and contractors must sign the Safety and Quality Acknowledgement Form, formerly the Combustion Appliance Safety Acknowledgement Form, or CASTA, and issues must be documented on the form and resolved prior to payment. And we are working on creating a slightly updated version of that form for propane testing, just to kind of call it out, but for right now you can continue to use the existing form. With that, we'll go on to slide 6 with the customer eligibility. So the key here really is that the customer has to be a PG&E electric customer, and obviously the PG&E does not provide the propane service. all residential building ownership structures are eligible, so single-family detached 2 to 4-unit buildings, renters, owners, homeowners association, similar to the existing requirements. And the program has to meet all the other home upgrade and advanced home upgrade requirements. Go on to slide 7. So I want to get into a few of the specific requirements first for home upgrade and then for advanced home upgrade. So for the home upgrade, former basic path, customers are eligible for quite a variety of measures. So if the customer has air conditioning, they're eligible for all base measures, which includes attic insulation and air sealing, duct sealing, duct replacement, and building air sealing. If they have that air conditioning, they're also eligible for wall, floor, and duct insulation. Additionally, those electric customers are eligible for a new air conditioner or electric storage water heater. However, since PG&E does not provide the propane gas service, we cannot claim or pay on energy savings associated with that, so we cannot pay rebates associated with a new furnace, gas storage water heater, or on-demand water heater, or those non-equipment measures, shell envelope measures listed above if there's no air conditioning. But that still means that electric customers can still take advantage of most of the measures available through the home upgrade program. Moving on to slide 8 to talk about the advanced home upgrade customer eligibility. So this one's a little bit different, and for those of you who are familiar with working in areas where PG&E only provides gas service, such as Sacramento, it's a pretty similar process, although opposite, because it's only for electric service. So for advanced home upgrade, customers are eligible for incentives for mild energy savings of the fuel provided by PG&E, in this case electric, and we'll do a prorated rebate based on a percentage of modeled site energy savings attributed to electric savings. So what that means, I gave a little example here to hopefully make that a little bit more clear. But if you do a project with a 20% modeled site energy savings in a customer that had both gas and electric, they could receive up to $2,000 in rebate. In this particular example, only 50% of the savings associated with the job is electric savings, as defined by the Energy Pro model, in which case this customer receives a $1,000 rebate for that electric savings. And why don't we go ahead and move on to slide 9. So in terms of contractor and rater eligibility requirements, as long as you're participating in the program currently and in good standing, you're able to submit jobs for electric customers with propane gas appliances as of this weekend. And all projects are subject to verification. I would like to point out that because this is a new process, we want to keep a close eye on it at first. So we are going to be inspecting the first 25 jobs, and then assuming that everything goes according to plan and there aren't any significant issues found, they'll revert back to the contractor's inspection tier that's already established. So we'll go to slide 10. I just wanted to point out some of the key resources and specifically a document, the Energy Upgrade California Home Upgrade Program Guidelines for Customers with Propane. A long name to say basically the couple pages that describes the process I just laid out. And before we open it up for questions, I just want to emphasize that the majority of this is aligned with what we're doing already and what we're already asking of you. The key difference is really that the gas service representatives are not available to provide that testing and repair service that they currently are. So we will be relying heavily on the contractor, rater, and propane dealer to make those adjustments. So I know I went through that pretty quickly, but hopefully you're all understand those different provisions, and I'll go ahead and open it up for questions. Melina?
Thank you, Joanne. We do have a few questions submitted, but I want to let everyone on the line know, please take a moment to submit your questions using the questions box on the GoToWebinar panel. Simply expand the questions box and type in the question. We'll review the questions and have Joanne answer them as the presentation progresses. Joanne, this first question has to do with home upgrade, propane, and the program. I think you may have addressed it. Is this new propane inclusion available to participants in the new PG&E home upgrade / basic program?
Yes, it definitely is, and I reviewed it. I think it was slide 7 for the home upgrade. It's definitely available for those customers. The one thing to keep in mind is that those electric customers will not be eligible for gas measures such as furnace or water heaters, or if they do not have air conditioning, they wouldn't be eligible for those base or shell measures. So it's definitely something you want to check, and it's either central AC or room AC is acceptable as long as there's air conditioning of some sort.
Thank you, Joanne. The next question has to do with the field quality assurance. Is it the first 25 jobs per contractor that are FQA'd, or first 25 jobs in total?
That is a great question. So the reference to the first 25 jobs having in-field quality assurance was the first 25 jobs total, so not necessarily by contractors. And we will be able to let you know when you submit that notice to proceed, or you could check ahead of time to see if you're one of those first 25.
Thanks, Joanne. The next question we have is regarding how prorated rebates are determined. It's confusing. Could you please explain it once again?
Sure. So maybe, Melina, I don't know if you can go back to slide 8. But basically, as I mentioned before, PG&E is only able to claim savings and provide an incentive for the electric savings, the fuel that we provide. So in the case of advanced home upgrade, where you have a calculated rebate, the savings is based on the energy savings attributed to that particular fuel electric savings. However, the site energy savings defines the maximum amount of savings. So in the example on slide 8, we have a home that reached 20% modeled site energy savings, which would be eligible for up to $2,000. In this case, based on the measures that were installed, only 50% of that site energy savings is associated with the electric savings, meaning, you know, and I did 50% just for easy math, which means that they'd get a $1,000 rebate. And, you know, I think historically we're seeing that the electric savings ranges somewhere between 10 and 60% on most jobs, but obviously you can target the electric savings to really maximize that rebate for your customer. Hopefully that helped.
Thanks, Joanne. That was all the questions that were submitted so far. I'd like to remind the people on the line, please take a moment to submit your questions. Just expand the questions box in the GoToWebinar panel and enter them. We'll take them as they come in, and Joanne will answer them. Joanne, do you want to take a quick break, and then I'll just review the questions as they come in?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. So, Joanne, we've got a couple more questions that came in. Are you all set?
Sure.
Okay, so the next question is regarding job submission and rebate calculation. When a job is entered into Green Energy Compass for advanced home upgrade, will the rebate be automatically figured? And Joanne, I don't know if you have information on that, but we here at Build a Green use Green Energy Compass, and the electric portion of the rebate, so that prorated electric portion, will be automatically calculated for participants entering information. So
Great.
we'll go ahead and move on. No problem. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next question. What if 15% total site savings is calculated and 50% is from electricity? Does this mean that the homeowner is ineligible because the electric savings is less than 10%?
No. The eligibility is based on the site energy savings, so as long as they reach 10% site energy savings, they're eligible for an incentive. Although, you know, in the 10% or 15%, it will obviously or likely be much lower, perhaps $750 or whatever the case may be.
Great, thank you. And I do want to remind those on the line that the slides and a link to the presentation will be emailed to participants in a follow-up email later this week. Joanne, the next question is regarding eligibility. In order to qualify, does a homeowner need to be a PG&E customer for both electricity and propane? And Joanne, I think you mentioned that propane is not supplied by a utility in California. Is that correct?
Correct. So they just have to be an electric customer.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. The next question is, can propane customers get rebates for the initial whole house assessment?
So PG&E does not provide rebates for the assessment. You know, that's not something within our purview. If you're referring to the assessment rebate provided by Bay-Ren in the 9-county Bay Area region, you'd have to refer your question to their program.
Thank you, Joanne. The next question has to do with tests. Are there specific tests for propane tanks?
So that's a great question. So the combustion appliance safety testing that is performed per the PG&E and procedures and the BPI standard are agnostic to natural gas or propane. So it's the exact same type of testing and instrumentation and methodology that you currently use. You just need to do that on the propane tank versus, you know, the water heater, for example. Just a different type of fuel, but the same process.
Thank you, Joanne. The next question has to do with converting to a heat pump. If you have an existing gas and electric system and you convert to a heat pump or dual fuel system, can you take the electric savings credit?
So that's a tricky one. If there has to be electric savings, so if all you did was switch from a gas water heater, to, for example, to an electric heat pump, there would be an increase in electric savings, so you wouldn't be eligible. So it would be based on the project. If, for example, you did other measures that can offset that to still decrease the electric savings, or increase electric savings, decrease electric usage, then it would be eligible. So we'd have to look at that on a project-by-project basis. But in general, we can't incent fuel switching or, you know, using more of the fuel we provide. But there may be some cases where that type of change out would still result in a net electric savings. So I think that was a long way to say it depends.
Thank you. The next question is related to that. What about dual fuel package units where electricity is the primary fuel and the propane is the emergency or backup fuel?
I'm not completely sure I understand the question, but if the fuel being saved is electricity, then that would be eligible. So I think the answer is yes, but we'd have to look at that more closely, and Build a Green can help you walk through that if you have a question about a particular project.
Thanks, Joanne. The next question is, does PV solar work to save electricity, and does that qualify?
That's a good question. So solar PV or photovoltaic is just a different generation source. It doesn't actually save energy and doesn't count as energy efficiency from our perspective. So it would not be eligible under the Energy Upgrade California Home Upgrade Program, but you know, you can still potentially apply for tax credits and other discounts.
Thank you, Joanne. The next question we have is, what if a home is all electric except for a propane stove? Would the rebates for this program be equivalent if there was no propane at all?
Most likely, it would probably, assuming that the stove wasn't changed or anything, you'd most likely be eligible for the entire rebate. So in that previous example, the full $2,000 for 20% savings.
Great, thank you, Joanne. So that was our last question submitted for this webinar. If anyone on the line has additional questions, please take the time now to enter them in the questions box on the GoToWebinar panel. I do want to mention again that the slide deck and the link to the presentation will be emailed to participants in a follow-up email. Joanne, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break while questions are submitted, and then we'll join back if we have any questions. And then to those on the line, if we don't have any questions, you're welcome to contact Build It Green. Our phone number and email address is on this slide on the presentation. Joanne, do you have anything else you want to say, or should we wait for more questions?
Why don't we go ahead and wrap up, and if any questions come in the next minute, we'll go ahead and take them. But I want to thank everyone for attending this webinar, and for those on the line, I'm sure that this has been a long time coming in terms of being able to offer Energy Upgrade California to your customers with propane. So thanks for holding on and waiting for us to get all these processes in place. And we're excited to have this available, and are actually in the process of updating all of our material and website to reflect this change. So if customers have any questions, they can reference that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Joanne. So to everyone on the line, thank you again for joining us. This was the propane eligibility presentation for PG&E's Home Upgrade Program, part of Energy Upgrade California. If you have further questions, please email us or call us by phone. My name is Melina Corona, and I was joined by Joanne Penchena at Build It Green. Thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your week.